What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to some Call of Duty Black Ops 4. We have some control on the map Summit. I think this is the first video on Summit this year. You know, great to be back on a throwback map. But today's video is going to be a crazy one. Today, we're going to be talking about the Pro League Qualifier for the CWL. And let's just say nothing was normal about that. Absolutely nothing. A lot of teams are new. A lot of players are new. And a lot of faces that, you know, once were good and, you know, top teams and some top players didn't make it. And we'll get into that all upcoming here. But I guess kind of the first thing to say is, what was the Pro League Qualifier? So, if you didn't make top 4 at CWL Vegas, you had to play in this Pro League Qualifier tournament, I guess I'll call it. And the top 4 at Vegas, I guess I'll start with that, were Optic Gaming, E-United, Splice, and Luminosity Gaming. So, 4 very good teams. However, the rest of the teams had to qualify through the Pro League Qualifier, which started with pool play, just like every kind of open event does. 4 pools, 7 teams per pool. Round robin, which means everyone plays each other. Top 2 teams immediately qualified for the Pro League. So top 2 are straight in, they're good. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th place teams in each pool qualify for the playoffs. Not the playoffs later in the year, but the playoffs in this qualifier. So they still have a chance to make the Pro League, but they're not out of it yet, and they're not guaranteed a spot. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. The 6th and 7th place teams are both eliminated, so they are out of the tournament essentially, and you know, their kind of hopes and dreams are kind of done for this year until you know, later in the year when there's roster change opportunities, and potentially some of those teams could make it into some other teams. But the playoff format was a double elimination, so it's a normal bracket with a winner's bracket and loser's bracket. So you have to be eliminated or beaten twice essentially to get eliminated. And the top 4 teams from playoffs would qualify for the CWL Pro League. So that's from the bracket. So you have 2 teams for each pool. That's 8. That adds out of the 4, and then the 4 that make the top 4 in the playoffs equal all 16. Does that make sense? If not, I will link the page I am reading down in the description below. But let's get right into it. So we had 4 pools of very good teams, and a couple of teams that you would expect to do better, but you know, they didn't have the greatest of first events, I'll call it. And you know, they had to play through this qualifier. But let's start right with Pool A. Now, if you don't know who some of these teams are, I will try to do my best to let you guys know who they are. But Pool A, it's going to be a long video, so stay tuned for the video. But Pool A, Enigma 6. This is a team that's been around forever, but the players on it not so much. So this team is General, Diabolic, Kismet, Cade, and Frosty with Coach Sender. Now, some of these names you may remember from last year. General, Diabolic, and Cade have all been around for a while. Kismet had a good year last year at the Champs Qualifier. And Frosty is actually a former Halo player, which came over to play Call of Duty this year. He was on, most notably, Optic Gaming, CLG. They won World Championships. And then at the end, it was Tox with the same teammates he was with on Optic. But, you know, he swapped over, he started to play Call of Duty, and he qualified for the event. Team Reciprocity. Now, this is a new organization, but the team is not so new, with Wuskin, Tommy, Zed, Shawnee, Denz, and Coach Shane. So that's a good team. Then the 3rd through 5th go to the playoff bracket with FaZe Clan. Same team as always. They picked up Celium in exchange for Methods. I think we talked about that before. Team Sween. Now, this one is kind of like a team waiting for an organization. This is Quicker, Weeman, Nolson, Dylan, and Brain. Some notable European players there. FaZe Black, which was Gravity, Tish, Phantoms, Asim, and Mosh. A couple of unknown names there. Also, we got Project 18, which is a bunch of people I've never heard of. Apox, Ramby, Super, Teddy Rex, and Zaptuis. I don't know how to pronounce that. Teddy Rex is the only one I've heard of out of that one, but they were eliminated. And then Team Divine, Niall, Kreza, Delio, Endura, and Keza. Some of those names have been in the either in the Pro League or on notable names in the past. But on to Pool B here. We have Team Envy 6-0. Now this is not the same Envy as last year. This Envy picked up the Call of Duty World Champs last year in Evil Geniuses. So their roster is the same as that. Aches, Apathy, Assault, Silly, and they picked up Hook, or I guess Hook picked the World Champs up and then added to the roster with Coach Bevels. Heretics. Now this was a big story this past weekend. Heretics from, I believe, Spain. This team, I don't want to say came out of nowhere because they were a decent team, but Heretics, Lucky Methods, Sukri, Journey, Metals, and Coach Noel. A lot of these players are unknown. Methods is not the same one that got dropped from Optic and FaZe. Not the same one. This is a European Methods. But Heretics absolutely like now a fan favorite, it seems like. Then we got G2. This team underperformed majorly in this tournament, in my opinion. This was Blast, Chino, Decimate, Lacefield, and Methods. Fact Revolution, which was Cammy, Chain, Defrag, Maple, and Sunny B. I don't really recognize anyone on this team, but they came in the 4th position, so they made it to the bracket. Tainted Minds, one of the APAC's best teams. In Nimble, Damage, Swiftazor, Setzi, and Zeppa. That team has been around for a little while now. Those players have been around for a little bit now. But they came in 5th. Then you have the Vodafone, I think I pronounced that right, Giants. This team is a bunch of people I've never heard of. Tohor, Yaiko, Invin, Peppo, and Nvidian with Coach Asen. I think I'm pronouncing most of these names right. But these guys were eliminated. And Lightning Pandas, an organization that's been around forever. These guys picked up a team that should have performed, but for whatever reason they didn't. Alex, Davey, Josh, Madcat, and Petey. This team, very surprised they didn't make it in. This was a team that should have, realistically. But for whatever reason, they didn't show up this event. And some other teams like Fact Revolution came in and showed up and put up a better performance and got into the league. But then we got Pool C. Now this one is a crazy pool. This one was supposed to be kind of the 100 Thieves and Team Spacely show. However, it wasn't really that. Midnight Esports. Does anyone even know who that is? Probably not, unless you have been paying attention recently. But that is Envoy, Lamagod, Pazilian, what? Pazelian? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Brack and Jetly. No idea who any of those players are except for Lamagod. I have heard of him before. But this team kind of came out of nowhere. And 6-0 in their group, which doesn't make sense at all. With the likes of 100 Thieves, which is their next team, and Nade Shot's team, and as soon as I can figure out who they are, that's Kenny, Pharaoh, Octane, Slasher, and Enable. That team had a very difficult time getting into the Pro League. They did not look good. I think they started out 0-2 and then went on a 4-game win streak or something like that. But they had to clutch up a lot to get into the playoffs, or not into the playoffs, but get into league, into the Pro League. And very surprised that they didn't choke out, because that's kind of what everyone was expecting to happen, including myself. Then you have Overtime Esports. Now, I don't actually know who this team is, so I gotta look it up real quick. And did they make the? No, did they? Where are they? Okay, that is BZ, Fastballa, Profizi, Believe, M. Ruiz, and Coach Pemby. Now, I think they actually messed up, because I'm pretty sure Pemby was a player, if I'm not mistaken. But I might be wrong about that. But these players have been around forever. These guys have always been one of the top AM teams out there. Always, you know, in the running in group play and pool play and everything. They've always been a good team, but never really made the jump to the Pro League. But I'm actually kind of excited to see what this team can do. Very talented players on that team. But they ended up making the league. Team Spacely. This team, very surprised they didn't do better than they did. But kind of also not, because the players on this roster are kind of like either players that have been around forever or players that have yet to prove themselves. And that is Spacely, Major Maniac, Nagafin, Havoc, and Mox. Like I just said, kind of surprising there. Accelerate, we just went over that. Overtime, I think I missed. I said Overtime was the wrong team. Overtime, so I skipped over Overtime. So Accelerate is actually the BZ, Fastball, Profizi, Believe, Emruiz, and Pembe team. And Overtime, I skipped right over them. But that is Whalers, Zeke, Risk, Breezy, Nat Shea with Coach Ikeev. I don't know if I pronounced that one right. But this team, Whalers is the only one I've heard of on this team. I think I've heard of Nat Shea as well. Haven't really heard much of them, realistically. Then we got Pittsburgh Knights. Now this team has been kind of newly formed this year. The Pittsburgh Knights new to the scene as well. This team is filled with a bunch of veterans that I know of. I mean, Godorex, Pander, Parasite, Ricky, and Saints. They just underperformed, didn't do well, and for guys like Parasite and Ricky, they've already been talking about retirement or the possibility of going to a coaching role. So I guess we'll wait and find out and see what happens there. And then we have Mazer Gaming, which made not really a forced roster change, but one of their players kind of called in sick, and they ended up sending another person in their place. But that is Destiny, Vicious, Noobs, Rex, and Vivid. Don't really know anyone on that team, but they fell out 0-6. On to Pool D, Evil Geniuses, 5-1. Goonjar Royalty, Fellow, Exotic, Facento, and Revan as their coach, former caster. UIU also made it straight to Pro League. That is Mayhem, Spoof, Proto, Skies, Knight, and Coach Vandy. Vandy JF, it looks like. I don't even know who that is. Then you have Red Reserve. Now, this is the same Red Reserve that was pretty dominant last year with the pickup of Bance. They were expected to be an absolute powerhouse. They barely don't make guaranteed top 2 here, but they ended up qualifying later on. I don't want to say barely, but almost barely. Then you got Mind Freak, one of the other best APAC teams, and Shocks, Fido, Luca, Swifty, Beeson with Coach Buzzo. A bunch of these players have been around forever, and really surprised they didn't make the team. But there's only one player this year that's actually represented by the APAC region, and I believe that is Dens from whatever team he's on, which is Team Reciprocity from, I think that was Pool A. But very surprised. I mean, APAC's always been, there's always been some good players from APAC region, but they've never really done anything in the Pro League. So with this new system of kind of doesn't matter what region you're from, we have mixed teams this year, and if you're the best team there, you're the best team there. Then you have the Movistar movie. Is it supposed to be Movie Star? I don't even know. Movistar Riders. This team is a bunch of players I've never heard of either, with Punny, Sam, Supraz, Oni, and Katsuru. I don't know how to pronounce that. But they somehow made it into the bracket, but ended up not qualifying. The Imperial. This team is another actually really good team. Moose, Denza, Vortex, Hawkey, and Reedy. I think this was Team Epsilon from last year. They didn't end up making it. 2-4. And then Nation of Power, I've never actually heard of any of these guys, so I'm not going to read their names. But 0-6, they fall out as well. So, if you guys couldn't follow along or you guys don't remember, kind of what I said, the teams that qualified for the Pro League are Enigma 6, Team Envy, Midnight Esports, Evil Geniuses, Team Reciprocity, Heretics KFC, 100 Thieves, UIU, Accelerate Gaming, Team Spacely, Red Reserve, and Overtime Esports. So, oh my gosh, a bunch of new names that have never kind of been in the Pro League. I think there was like 25 players or something like that that are all brand new to the Pro League, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but there's teams like FaZe Clan. They didn't make it. With a roster of Zuma Attach, Crowder, or I guess Replays, whichever you want to go, call him by, Priesta, and Celium. That team did not make it. So you got to see, that team breaking up, potentially getting picked up by some other teams, and FaZe Clan probably going to come back in next year when the rumored Call of Duty franchising comes out. Then also teams like Mind Freak, the APAC team, Team Sween, Another notable name team, Tainted Minds. Another notable name team, Pittsburgh Knights, Lightning Pandas, and G2. A lot of big name teams didn't make it in this qualifier. And, you know, you absolutely hate to see it. But, on the other hand, you are kind of excited for all these new faces, these new players that you may have never heard of. Instead of the same kind of old, you know, repeat names that you just constantly keep hearing. But that kind of leaves us with Pro League, which what are their divisions? Now I'm going to go into a video about predictions, but I kind of want to just mention it to see what your guys' thoughts are, where these guys line up. So Division A includes Optic Gaming, Luminosity Gaming, Midnight Esports, Evil Geniuses, UYU, Team Reciprocity, Space Lee's Team, and Red Reserve. Now, like I said, I'm going to get into a different video of predictions for these groups, or I guess divisions. But pretty solid group there. On to Division B, we have E United, Splice, Team Envy, Enigma 6, 100 Thieves, Team Heretics, Accelerate Gaming, and Overtime Esports. We got our teams for the Pro League now. Next time in the next Call of Duty video, maybe the one after that, we're going to be talking about the Pro League, kind of some expectations. Some teams I think are going to rise to the top. Some teams maybe are going to fall to the bottom. And we'll kind of go into predictions and, you know, kind of see what you guys think about the Pro League. And I'm going to wrap this one up here, guys. I've talked for long enough. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.